Throughout history, pickling was very important in agricultural societies. With refrigeration, many foods only last days, weeks, or months. But on the other hand, pickled foods often lasted years. Pickling is a process of preserving or extending the shelf life of food by either anaerobic fermentation in brine or immersion in vinegar. What is really enjoyable about more traditional preservation methods such as water bath canning, pressure canning, and pickling, as the food is preserved, they create a completely unique taste that you can't get in any other way. Let's take a look at some of the most common methods of preservation, specifically pickling.
Hi, my name is Sterling Hancock. I'm with the Arizona Health Zone and the University of Arizona Cooperative Extension in Apache County. And today we're going to be learning a little bit about food preservation and different methods that we use to preserve and store our food for longer times. When we talk about traditional canning and food preservation methods such as pickling, which has been done for thousands of years, we learn very, very important traditions in food preservation and also taking control of our food sovereignty in our communities. Today, we are going to make a very easy type of refrigerator pickle. It is not canned, so it has to be eaten within 2 weeks of making this recipe, but they are very tasty and very simple, and kids would love it. We have done it in different types of schools and Head Starts and kindergarten classes, and it's great because after an hour sitting in the fridge, you are able to have and enjoy some really good fresh dill pickles. We have a half a cup of water and a 3/4 cup of white vinegar. Now, we're using vinegar because with the acid from the vinegar is what's going to help preserve it. We use the vinegar and a brine. This will have salt also in it, and we'll talk about that to make a brine vinegar pickling solution. We are going to be putting in a half clove of garlic. We are going to put 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt. We are going to put 1 1/2 teaspoon of sugar. The red pepper flakes, a 1/2 teaspoon, which is optional. A 1/2 cup of loosely packed fresh dill. If you cannot get fresh dill because they don't sell it in the store, you can use the jarred dill seed. You'll just use a little bit less, follow a recipe because it's a little more concentrated. For this recipe, you're going to want about 5 black peppercorns in each jar. That's to give it a little bit of heat. Now, you can add spice, you can add different flavors. Right here we have the habaneros, which would give it quite a bit of spice. I wouldn't recommend it, not more than a half of 1 habanero in each jar. That way it won't be too hot. Now, these are sweet peppers. They will add no heat to the recipe, but they will add a very good sweet chili flavor. And then we have a sweet yellow banana chili that could be chopped up and used as flavoring, and also a small Cubano type pepper. We have a lot of variation, and you can tailor to what you are growing in your garden. But there's also, you can put in mustard seed for a different taste. We have oregano that you can put in. There's actually a pickling spice mix, which has the most common spices used in pickling already mixed in. Now, another important thing about when you're doing food preservation and the salt, it is recommended that you use a pickling salt because you will get clearer water results. I want to talk about water bath canning, which is done with foods that are acidic. So you could do that with like a salsa, which has the tomatoes as a very acidic type of recipe. You put the jar in to boiling water for the amount of time the recipe calls for. Every recipe is different. And that is an easy way because it's just boiling water. Now, I did talk about with green beans and other items that are high in pH, they need to be pressure canned, and that ensures that the internal temperature of the product that you're canning and preserving reaches the right temperature to kill all of the unwanted bacteria and pathogens that could make us very sick. Fermentation is the one that uses a type of alcohol or a lactic acid to ferment and preserve and kill off the bad bacteria that would spoil the food and make us sick. Now, it's very important to remember that in the fermentation process, the longer it ferments, the stronger and more intense the flavors will be. And everyone's palate is a little bit different. So some people may want a stronger fermented produce and some may not. So just extending that fermenting time will give you that variance and the control over your produce. I did bring an example of, these are not canned. I fermented these baby carrots when I had an excess of them. And even though they were fermented a while back, they're still very good, showing how long food can last if it is preserved in the correct manner. When you are going to start, we want to have clean, sterile jars. You can use recycled jars and lids, because remember, this is not pressure canned. This is not water bath. All we're making today is a refrigerator, quick, easy type of dill pickle that is fun for the kids. And the last thing I'd like to talk about are jellies, jams, and chutneys. Now, these are usually made with fruit and some vegetables in the case of chutneys. But what is great about them is they last a very long time, even years if unopened, because they're using sugar to preserve the fruit or vegetable that is in your pantry. The sugar works by taking out the water from the vegetables and the fruit and then making it an anaerobic environment where the bad bacteria and the pathogens that we don't want in our food, they cannot grow there because it is a very sterile environment. One thing that is very important about if you're doing the jams and jellies and chutneys is they need to be pressure canned just to ensure the safety and that they are done correctly. So let's get started. Let's make some really good tasting fresh dill pickles. So what we're going to need is the spices that we talked about. To save time, I've already pre-mixed the brine with the 1.5 cups of water and the vinegar, the 3/4 cups of vinegar. It is cooking, it is boiling now. So when we get ready to pour it in, it will be there. So first we are going to carefully cut off the ends. Now, it is very important that you measure, because we're not using a quart jar. This is obviously too long. And so we're going to measure how long we want that cucumber to be so that it fits into the jar correctly. Now, we want it about 1/4 inch below the lid. And that's the same with the brine liquid, the pickling solution, which is heating up right now. So we are going to cut this in spears. And then you will do this until you fill up the jar. Now, it is important that you pack them tightly because the water will, the tighter it is, the better results you will have. Now I'm going to put about half of the dill sprig in each jar. And remember, if you can't get the fresh dill, the seeds do work. You will still have that same flavor. So, and now I'm going to put the black peppercorns, about 5 in each one. And like I said, we are going to put a 1/2 clove of garlic in this. And now we will continue to cut until we fill up both jars. And remember, with food safety, you want to always be using clean utensils. You want to have clean workspace. And these ones are a little bit too tall. I don't like them that tall, so I'm going to cut off about 1/4 inch just to make sure that they get covered under there. Okay. So I think I've got it. I don't think I can get any more in. So now it is time for me to get the brine. Now remember, the brine is it's boiling water and vinegar, so it's very hot. So please be careful. And when you're pouring in the brine, you just want to go up to 1/4 inch. You want to pretty much cover the cucumbers and make sure they're covered in the sauce. Now remember, it is very hot. Until I feel it's right there at that 1/4 inch. Remember, these are extremely hot. They are still boiling in this jar. So carefully put the lid on. Now you don't have to be Superman, because as it cools down, it's going to condense. So put it on tight, put it on snug. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to set these on a counter, wipe them off. Obviously, you got a little bit onto the cutting board. Clean them off, let them cool down to room temperature, and then after that, you put it in the refrigerator. Now, I know this may be hard if you can't wait, but if you wait 1 more hour, let them sit in the fridge, that's when the flavors will really start to combine and create that dill pickle taste that we love. But they are good up for 2 weeks. I don't think I've ever had a jar last more than 2 weeks anyway. So these are not canned, these are not sealed. These are just refrigerator fresh pickled cucumbers. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you have fun making this recipe with your family. If you have any questions, we're here at the University of Arizona at the Extension Office in Apache County. We have an office here in Window Rock and also in St. John's. Remember to always follow the USDA's recipes and their guidelines on times, on the temperature, to make sure that you create a good tasting and safe canned preserved food for your family. Thank you and have a wonderful day.